want to do the oh, there's a thing in front of the text.
That's why I can't.
Episode 2. Yay.
Greetings, freaks, and welcome to Practically Happy with Raser and Rhodes, where each week we gather around the proverbial trash fire to recommit ourselves to a life in the arts. We here at Practically Happy believe in shifting the quote-unquote traditional model of success towards finding fulfillment in pursuit of your passions, despite
yourself.
our place in time and space. Tune in as we tackle the highs and lows of choosing a creative career and reaffirm that you have what it takes, because you do.
Welcome to the second episode.
This is actually really fitting for our second episode. Despite our place in time and space, we're doing it anyway.
We're doing shit anyways. How have you been doing?
How have I been figuring it out lately?
How have you been figuring it out?
Since last we spoke, I've been figuring it out on the sort of art business end of things, which I hate to disappoint, but if you didn't know, at least half of what you'll be doing as a creative, or sometimes more than half, is going to be the business end.
I am one who struggles with that.
Yeah.
You can't just do the thing I'm trying. You can't do it.
Yeah. There are actually artists, I'm going to put that in big air quotes.
Big quotes.
That only do the business end of art.
And now they have sculptures of the moon on the moon.
They do. Figuring it out lately for me has involved the business end of art, trying to find where my art lands to try to, make my audience a little more cute and cozy and specific to what I make. Recently started working as a sub at an after-school program for young artists.
Ooh.
Yeah. So just trying to figure out little things that I can do with my art degree that will support, because it's a lot of pressure. I think we might have mentioned this last week, but it is a lot of pressure to put on your creativity to do 100% of the supporting of you as a person financially. Dive in and commit to being an artist. I think that's necessary, and it's really hard to do that if you have a whole nother life. If you can manage those two things, more power to you. But figuring out how I can commit to my arts while supporting myself has been the goal lately. So, how have you been figuring things out lately?
Everything is going exactly to plan. So I'm currently in what is a closet.
We're actually both currently.
We're both currently in a closet, as the previous studio space that I had
was a bedroom,
and now is a living room to host a black cat's birthday party. And also to have a place to work and kind of learn how to do more with less. So here we are in a closet with a window.
It does have a window.
It does
kind of
have
a lit
window.
closet.
It's a pretty cool closet.
Brooklyn's a pretty wild place. But a great point to drive home from this experience is you can start with whatever you have. I don't care what your medium is. If what you need to start is a closet, you start with a closet. Start with what you got.
That's not to say that being in a closet is a detriment to practice by any means.
Sound quality might even be better in here. I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't know anything about sound quality.
Probably not.
I wanted to talk about, I don't know if I want to call them pitfalls, but the sort of excuses.
Or logical fallacy. The artist's logical fallacies.
That people come up with, and we know what they are, to explain off why they might not be starting or they might not be living the creative lives that they want to.
As artists, and I'm coming from a place of, I like to have my ducks in a row before I fully dive into something, but all of that, it doesn't mean I can't be doing the thing. You gotta just do the thing. You gotta start where you are and do it anyway.
Some of the reasons why people might be perceiving themselves as unable to start is fatigue, anxiety, perfectionism, procrastination, executive dysfunction, and lack of motivation. These are all very real things. However, society pathologizes all of these things. And while I want to be really sensitive to chronic illness or mental illness, these are very human things. And if you think about them all individually, anxiety, procrastination, perfectionism, what they all kind of come around to is fear. And fear is like the most basic human emotion that we get to experience every day.
We talked about this in episode 1. Starting something, doing something, carrying something on is terrifying. And art in a lot of ways is just like your viewpoint on existing. So putting that on the line, putting that out for other people to see, and for it to be the way you, in an extreme way, live or die, it's terrifying.
And whatever it is for you, if you don't have time, don't have money, don't have ideas, don't have whatever it is for you that you don't feel supported enough to start turning towards the life of your dreams, it really is.
Life of your dreams.
Yeah, it really is that sort of like.
I was making a joke, but you're right. You're right.
That sort of everyday shift, making the tiny decisions that you can to just turn in that direction. It seems like a big, scary thing. Take 5 minutes at first.
Just making it accessible. I am in a fortunate position where I can get out a closet.
You made a closet that I really feel very comfortable in, I have to say.
It's a pretty comfortable closet. It's got LED lights. When this main light is off, it's even more vibey. It's cool. It's got a window.
Rainbow
Sick.
lights, very fitting for a closet.
But if you don't have a closet, is there like a corner of the room that like doesn't really have a purpose right now? Is there a computer that you have?
You do a lot of things with that.
Do you have like a piece of cardboard that you can lift on and off of a table that you want to like make your workspace so you can use the table for table things other times, but then also have it be like a second table for your other things another time? You have to start where you are. But you're not going to get anywhere if you don't start.
My partner and I live in a studio apartment that's just a lofted bed over a kitchen.
When you make a joke about what a New York apartment is,
yeah, it's my apartment.
it's just like, oh, wow, I can't stand in your kitchen without getting stuck.
He actually, so they didn't account for how tall people could be when they built the lofted bed.
They're just like, I'm this height. I can stand
Which
under
I
here.
didn't notice as a 5'4"-ish individual.
Neither you or your partner.
Yeah, my partner's
stuck
also
under there. But the moment I came into that,
it's so
that
funny.
home,
We were like, oh wait, people don't fit in here.
people don't fit in there.
Anyways, my partner is sort of starting this journey of his own, this creative journey of his own. He's interested in learning how to DJ. Our plan is to get a piece of plywood to put on top of our radiator when our radiator's off. So
Good.
Right.
They're like, ooh, a nice fire.
And then when it gets to the cold month again, we'll have to figure something else out.
The snowball starts small.
The internet is a wild place now, dude. You know how much people used to have to do to get their art in front of other people's eyes?
Put an ad in the paper.
We don't have to do that anymore.
I'm going to yell on the subway platform. People still do that.
People still do that, I can assure you.
And people still do that. Less constructively.
Sometimes they got bars out there, I'm just saying. If you take the yelling out of the voice, sometimes these like doomsday people are like really trying to serve you some compassion.
By trying to save me from damnation?
Yes. I'm like,
doing
thank you for
fine. I'm a queer guy, question mark? I'm good. I know where I'm going.
Yeah. Should I pull out my
Did you
quote?
pull out? I guess that's...
It's one method.
This consent.
So this quote is by Eric Fromm. He's a German guy who thought some cool thoughts. And one of the thoughts was, creativity itself requires the courage to let go of certainties.
The quintessential fear, one could say, is the fear of the unknown.
Right.
Which,
but you're stepping into that all the time as a creative already, even if you haven't made the commitment to like be an artist full time or whatever the big dream is. You are creating point B. That reminds me of that research I sent you earlier. You were like, save it for another podcast.
I mean, no, we could talk. It'll come up in another podcast.
It was like,
it's more present in artists than on non-artists to have both psychological vulnerabilities, anxiety, depression, and stress, and resources, well-being, ego resilience, and hope.
Right.
And that exists, those two things that might seem at first like at odds with one another.
Well, they are, because creativity, what is like the main barrier to creativity?
It's mostly fear.
Anxiety, right. Like that's why you don't do it.
Sometimes self-image.
It's so funny, yeah.
Which is a form of fear.
Two things are very prevalent in artists. The one that prevents the other.
Self-image and lack of self-image is also a form of fear. It's fear that your image of yourself doesn't line up with how other people see you.
Right.
Look, there are so many other more important things that are completely incomplete that are running our world right now. Your painting of a flower?
I have a painting of a flower.
You do?
I don't know. I think I mostly paint titties.
Body flowers. Can you tell who's the asexual in this conversation?
Body flowers.
Body flower. Your picture, your painting of a flower, honestly, might look cooler if you don't finish it.
Mic drop, seriously. But what's so funny is that sometimes it's the stuff that we put out and we're like, meh, all right. That people react the best to.
There's so much coincidental shit that I've like left in recording. Just as like, I don't have time to fix this. So it's being sent off to the client. And it's like, oh, I loved this part when you wrote this up.
You fucked up.
It's like, I'm going to be real with you. I thought that was a problem.
Right.
The thing in your way is not your means. It is you.
Yeah.
You realistically have the means to do the bare minimum of your creative practice, if not fully succeed with what you currently have. As an audio engineer, there's a big fallacy that I sometimes fall into, that you need tools that inherently make your work better. But realistically, what makes my work better is a better engineer working with those tools. Those tools will aid a better engineer, but I will not be a better engineer because I have those tools. But you won't know that those are the tools that you can do that with until you use them. You must use the tools. You must start where you are. I'll accept snap.
Yeah, do it anyway. I think that was the big takeaway.
Do it anyway.
Do it anyway, for sure.
You hear that ice cream truck in the background? Yeah, start with where you are. Don't do a lot of soundproofing in your closet that you're going to record a podcast in. We're not even on the side of the street anymore. That's just a loud-ass ice cream truck. They started where they were, with cream.
With cream. Something that the internet told me about starting, surround yourself with people that encourage you, or creative people to collaborate with. Like
people that make you want to pursue or do better or be better as an artist.
Great advice. I had a hard time taking it. I have people in my life that I like. Well, what am I supposed to do? Go out on the street and be like, "Hey, will you encourage me to make some art?" Like I don't know how to find new people now.
Scream at me. Tell me to paint.
So what we're doing is we're making a podcast where we can just be here to motivate each other.
We're love bombing you essentially in a non-manipulative way.
Or in a very manipulative way.
No, actually, you know what? Fuck it.
Make your art.
Fuck it. Bet you won't go and do it right now. Bet you won't turn off this podcast and make art and then come back to it, please.
There's some like light gaslighting. Like, actually, you said that you would.
You said that you would
follow your dreams.
Something.
Do you want to hear some science-backed ways to channel creativity, or is that kind of like
Was
unrelated?
That word for word like that?
Yeah. Some of these are boring as fuck, and like you guys can probably predict it. The first one is not boring as fuck, and I think very important. Say hello to your inner child.
There's a podcast we both listen to.
Oh, Herbie House?
House of Herbie.
So good.
Herbie House. Herbie fully loaded.
It's sort of the spiritual angle on creative living.
Especially from like two music makers. Within the first couple episodes of the podcast, they were talking about, I forget how they came to it, that what you wanted to do when you were 8, you kind of knew what the fuck you were doing.
Yeah, sometimes I think about like, why the fuck am I painting? Like, why the fuck am I painting? And then I think about how that's what I was doing when I had free time as a child and could decide what I wanted to do. I'm just not going to question that. Like, I'm doing it for her.
I was very good at puzzles.
Maybe you should do more puzzles.
I'm still pretty good at puzzles, realistically.
Is audio engineering a little bit like a puzzle for you?
Mixing is a puzzle.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's like you
found a new way to do puzzles.
You're fitting these pieces together and making a full picture. And hopefully the person before you thought of that puzzle so that there's an actual image you're constructing.
Yeah, how David came to DJing, by the way, is not because he was like, oh, I want to be a DJ. He grew up in a big family, and something that he would really like to do growing up in a big family, which I'm sure was mostly stressful most of the time because he was the oldest of 9, he would like to set and setting. He would like to put out the plates and play music in the background. He liked putting that on for people so that they would enjoy the experience of the meal or whatever was going on at the house, the holidays.
Taste maker.
And so, I mean, he could just go out and set tables as a waiter. Maybe he would get some satisfaction out of that.
Or he can turn tables.
Or he can turn fucking tables. That was so good.
You can go and set tables or you can turn tables, David. I'm going to show up at your house and I'm just going to yell at David now.
That'd be so funny, actually. I mean, you might feel like you're doing it all by yourself right now, but you probably have people around you that are also creative, maybe, or also doing the same thing, maybe.
Do you feel like you're in a good friend group? Congratulations. You have a support system.
People love to support your dream. I mean, the good people in your life do. When I sort of came out of, I'm sort of an artist on the side and I like make little drawings and here, look at them on Instagram, to like, I'm coming out and like, actually, this is what I want to do. I'm taking it seriously. Here's my website. Here's where you can buy my work, commission me. People came out of the woodworks, man. Like family members, friends, people who I wouldn't have expected to want to support me were like, yo, dude, I want your art. So definitely tell people what you're up to.
If you have gone through your life trying to curate good people around you, and hopefully you have found yourself within a good group of people, that you have found a chosen family, that you have a family that chooses to allow you to exist to your fullest extent.
If you're alone right now, podcasts.
And
get out more. That's all I have to say.
And leave the house. Touch grass respectfully.
Ask for consent before touching the grass. Is that how to respectfully?
But you have a support structure that wants you to succeed, as you said.
Woohoo! At least the two of us do.
At least these two friends of yours in this parasocial relationship that we currently have.
Ooh, I like that word.
Parasocial?
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a huge...
That makes sense.
You don't watch like YouTube. I feel like that's a way bad thing in the YouTube space. But not to say that you can't appreciate people who create things and see them as forms of motivation.
Yes,
That's
this is a good example of two people.
Hi, this is the point of this podcast.
Two people.
Be motivated to do things.
Two people who want each other to succeed creatively.
I don't know about all that.
Oh. Well, at least one person.
At least one person wants me to succeed. I want people to make stuff mostly because just like as people like evolve and change and grow more comfortable with their creativity, they just become just like cooler people.
You like hanging out with cool people?
I like hanging out with cool people. When my friends pursue art, they just become cooler.
Now we're manipulating like a younger audience into like...
Get cool. Get cool. You want to be cool? Make art. My voice cracked in the middle of, you want to be cool? There's more room than ever to make yourself as a creative. And as the world turns, and as the world changed, and we realize the flaws in a lot of the systems that are currently there, and we're very much coming into an age where we're seeing those flaws.
Yeah.
And we're kind of just like, oh, wait, no, actually, these people that are doing things that, one, make them feel whole, and two, make me feel a little more whole. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Might actually be valuable? Or practical? Or reasonable?
You being happy
for
makes
use
me happy?
in society?
I'm going to give you money because I'm happy.
So I'm going to tell you what happened to you.
What happened to me?
Yeah, what happened to you?
What happened to me?
Well, the general you, but also you.
Also me.
What happened to you?
I'm a narcissist.
And I.
I'm not. I don't think I. Do I? Can a narcissist call them?
Two individuals decided, mostly for their own benefit, that you should exist.
Oh, yes, the parentals.
That's where I find safety in the creative life, is zooming out and out and out over and over again until I find myself looking at my life from the biggest picture possible. And here we are looking at the consequences of two people's decision to have me in this universe and what I'm going to do with what I've got. You might not think that you have any time for any of this creativity BS because you've got life to handle. You're going to have your time here anyway. Saying hi to your inner child for me wasn't about so much thinking about what I was doing when I was a child, although that's a beautiful exercise. It's sort of like finding the play of it to like get into the creative zone, calling in the muse that's somewhere inside of you that still wants to like goof around and make something.
Be a little silly bean. To reiterate the last episode, very briefly, your history fact that art vastly predates
Agriculture.
a lot of agriculture and a lot of more practical systems. It was more important to express oneself in a way that can be perceived by another and understood in an abstract way than it was to plant seed in ground and make wheat.
I think in symbols. I want to express that.
I think this symbol makes me feel something. Art
sorry.
is about expressing yourself and expressing yourself in a way that you can better understand how you feel by putting it out there and then being able to look at how you feel.
That's
and also
crazy part
allowing
of art,
someone else
actually.
to look at it and realize how you feel.
It's such a good point.
And as a child, all you're trying to do is figure out what the fuck am I feeling? Because it's all new. It's all new. So as an
like,
adult,
I'm drawing a sunshine because like that's a cool
that
thing.
makes me happy.
that I got to
I
experience
scribbled
today.
black crayon all over this white piece of paper because I feel not correct. Why am I here?
It's one of the really crazy things about making visual art is like I don't even know what I'm going through until months after I've painted a new portfolio, and then I look back at it and I see exactly what I was going through in those paintings.
Yep.
You can feel when it's authentic art is when you get to feel what that person.
Yeah. There's another layer of just like, oh, there's this cool thing. Oh, I see why it was made in the first place. And I think that's also why, like, as adults, we start to, like, not want to pursue those things as much is because there's so many systems placed. You compartmentalize why you feel like you need to express things. Whereas, like, a child, you didn't necessarily have that compartmentalization yet. You were just, I feel things expressed. Do you see this? This is how I feel. Look at it.
So a great place to start is just being like, oh, hello, tiny Abby. If you're still around and chilling, what is it you want to do? Oh, yeah. Science-backed ways to channel creativity according to the internet.
one? Did we only go to one?
Yeah, we did only do one.
Okay, let's...
The rest of them are not...
let's rapid fire these dumb ones.
Yeah, the rest of them are not that interesting. Meditating and journaling.
Honestly, no. Journaling, prime. Meditation, prime.
Basically what you're doing
Meditating and then journaling, prime.
Yeah.
When you come up with thoughts, just write them down. You might never see them again or look at them again.
Alone time. And this is without distraction.
Without phone.
This is embracing boredom. Guess what happens when you embrace boredom?
You do something.
Daydreaming.
Honestly, half the reason I find myself back in this closet after I've told myself I'm taking a break is because I get bored of the break. You have to allow yourself to be bored because...
For me, the best creative ideas come when I'm bored. Yeah. Or walking or in the shower.
Oh, shower's a big one.
Yeah. So
Which,
basically
actually,
taking...
you said all these were dumb. All these are pretty... They're
what they
common
are is
sense,
like
though. They're a
taking
little
care
common
of
sense.
yourself
Yeah.
apparently leads to more creative action.
That's crazy. It's crazy that if you feel good, you'll do something.
That you'll make something. Weird. It's one that I really need to do is when I'm alone, for my alone time, make sure it's without distraction because what I'm usually doing is scrolling through other people's content.
The being alone and having structured alone time is one of the better ones on there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my downtime, I'm like watching seminars and like learning
Learning is another way to access your
learning
creativity,
things.
though.
Yeah, but it's not activating that boredom sense. Having a structured time where you're doing nothing and just allowed to think. Maybe have a pen and paper around you. I actually do suggest having some means of capturing ideas. If you want to have your phone and have your voice memo, the voice memos are cool.
And I also want to say that these things are like so hard, even though they're so simple. They're really hard because society does not tell you that they are productive. And that's something that we're really trying to hit home on this podcast is like, what new shifts are we seeing that we want to bring home? And is one of them that like rest is okay, doing nothing for a minute is really okay. It's not really seen as contributing to the society that we have, but it is.
You can't really live if you don't have the vessel to live in. Or if the vessel doesn't feel able to live.
What's something that you struggle with when it comes to getting your feet off the ground?
I think for the most part, like I struggle with perfectionism.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah, I don't put
I'm not surprised.
I don't put things down until I feel like they're right. And I think how we've went about this podcast, doing it from where we are and just starting it. Because, like, this isn't a podcast studio. This is a fucking closet in my bedroom.
He has a different microphone than I have.
Yeah, we haven't
We're
figured
just using
that out.
whatever.
But, like, that's not something that I can fix without making it feel worse. This podcast is a good practice for me to not be as much of a perfectionist and just, it's ideas. We're trying to express ideas.
Yeah.
We're not trying to express, listen to how good my voice sounds.
We're getting our voices out there.
Yeah.
Trying to build a community. This is not about creating a very neatly packaged product.
It's like Cheez-Its. Those broken ones at the bottom.
Would you say that Cheez-Its are a very neatly packaged product?
No, they're broken at the bottom. Yo, extra toasty Cheez-Its.
Oh, yeah, those are the best.
The extra toasty ones. Those are the good ones. Let's do a tarot reading.
Let's do a tarot reading.
Tarot reading.
That's my favorite part, actually. The tarot portion.
This is the tarot portion.
Oh, please start with that one.
So, what is...
Whew. We got one, what is it called?
A signifier?
Signifier, I think it's called.
So I just got 2 signifiers, actually.
Out of the bat.
To be fair, this was the one on top. We're just going to do one. So this is the first card. It's the Lovers reversed. That's my signifier card. But more specifically, this reading is... Let's think of it as a guiding ethos for how to go about just starting.
Okay.
Without pretension, without need for other means to do so. It's just starting. I would like you to split these cards 3 ways. Do it now.
They appear to be split 3 ways already.
Reorganize them.
Oh! Was it good?
Yes.
This is a tradition on the podcast, or it will be a tradition on the podcast.
It is a tradition on the podcast to pull a trio of tarot cards in order to glean some greater message on what we've talked about today.
Most excellent.
I would like you to select 3 cards.
I swear this is a Harry Potter character that you're doing. I just don't know which one.
The Ace of Wands.
Oh, this one looks shiny to me. I want to pull it.
The 3 of Wands reversed. The Devil
Oh, no.
reversed.
Oh, yay. Oh, no. Oh, yay.
And then we have the top and bottom of the deck.
Top doesn't mean anything. It means
It's
less.
another signifier.
Okay, fine. Is that me?
I would like people to know that when the first 2 cards flew out, it was the Lovers reversed and Strength reversed. And Strength reversed has come out as my second signifier card. Witchcraft is real. I actually legitimately got chills. And then the bottom signifier card is the 8 of Swords, upright.
Which is the shadow of the reading.
The
effect.
groundhog in this Puxatawny.
You made that joke last time. It's still so funny.
Did I actually?
You did.
Oh, that's good. I approve of that.
What do 2 kids in a closet do?
They read tarot. So, after looking through this reading and gleaning a tale of whimsy, I think it's best to move through the reading as it pertains to the everyone, and then I can maybe talk about my signifiers. Because my signifiers came to throw hands today. So we start with the Ace of Wands. A gift of strength and power and love for living. In loving the act, you better understand source and its betterment. A card could not signify a better start. The card is presenting you with what realistically, in the case of like the magician, is what is conducting an alchemy of all suits. Is the method of creation is being given to you. It is what you do with it then that matters.
Lit.
But speaking to things that only you can fuck up now, we have the 3 of Wands reversed. And I have a simple line before I go to an excerpt from Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom. Failure to explore due to storms.
That's exactly what we were talking about.
And I want to go further into it because the writing in this book is even more pointed. On one hand, it can mean the failure of some exploration or project, either practical or emotional, due to storms. That is, problems greater than what we had hoped for or expected. So again, speaking to what we were talking to before about fear being your greatest enemy when it comes to creating something or doing something, you haven't set sail yet. You don't know what storms lie beyond. You have to be a little delusional and sail anyways. The image right side up carries a certain isolation as he looks down at the world.
But this one's upside down.
But being upside down, it is taking that act. It is doing that exploration themselves.
Interesting.
Taking reins that were given to you by the Ace of Wands. And then we move to the devil.
Diavolo.
There's a lot of sexual ties to the devil. I don't necessarily think a lot of my readings where I've gotten it mean sexual ties.
Maybe not for you anyway.
Upright is slaving to desires rather than acting in the best interest of self. It is the accepting that you are in a position of helplessness.
Aha.
And just like, I can't do anything about it. Might as well do what will practically get me further in this situation.
So what does it mean reversed?
Reversed is the attempt to break these chains of misery and bondage towards the liberation of self. This book, it goes into great depth on the major arcana, so I'm not going to read all of it. Before you can slip off the chains, you must become conscious of them. Therefore, people who are undergoing some process of liberation, say leaving home, psychotherapy, or a difficult divorce, often find themselves far more unhappy than when they blindly accepted their oppressed condition. Such a period can be crucial to a person's development. If one can survive it, one will emerge happier and with a more developed personality.
So this reading is kind of going from light to heavy.
It's giving you the nice stuff up front.
Okay.
It as we talked about from the beginning, it's very scary to do this sort of thing, to set sail. It's going to be a uncomfortable point of transition to allow yourself to just express and create.
Yeah, well, just fear being the biggest roadblock.
So we have the Eight of Swords upright. It is a bound person with swords around them. They do not know their situation, but they know it is bad, and they know that they think that they may be alone. The clue to this card is the blindfold, symbolizing confusion, oppressive ideas, and the isolation from other people in similar situations. What political liberationists call mystification, keeping people down not by direct force, but by training them to believe in their own helplessness. In context to this reading, talking about fear being the largest demotivator, the largest roadblock, the largest hurdle to get over, a lot of that is learned.
Yes,
you learn that is not what you should do, or that's not what's practical.
Right, well, you're talking about, like, the reason why children might be more freely creative than adults is because they don't have that fears.
Because
they don't have those
they
fears
haven't
yet.
been taught that there's, like, you have to hit X, Y, and Z point before you can then do something that makes you feel alive and living. And we can sometimes get in our own bubble that, like, no one else is experiencing this as well, which is the point of this podcast, is to make it known that, like, we're roughing it out. Like, it's not cool a lot of the time.
It's also the most cool thing you could possibly do with your life.
Even we have fallen into the hole of no one else is experiencing the same thing that I'm doing.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely. Oh my gosh,
in this
yeah.
fight to just express myself and be able to exist expressing yourself.
And sometimes you even find yourself taking comfort in that idea. Like, it makes you more unique. However, when you learn about other people and that everyone has their own story and their own suffering, it actually is, like, really nice to be like, oh, okay, so people get it.
And that's not a bad thing to accept and express. Like, I'm struggling to do this. Even if you've succeeded, still every day is a matter of continuing and doing
Showing
it
up,
and understanding that other people are in this fight, both with you, supporting you. Even those who are against you realistically are some sort of drive to keep doing it.
Oh, hell yeah. For some people, that's the only drive.
Someone doesn't want you to do
Depends
something.
on where you're at in your life.
This reading is pointing towards you can only know what failure you will find if you start, but you will only know complacency if you don't. You won't experience yourself.
I really do think that's the greatest gift you can give yourself in this life, is to know yourself, is to find and learn about and understand yourself.
Now, in looking into this reading, I'm questioning how much I do want to talk about my signifier cards. So my signifiers were the first signifier that flew out was the Lovers with Strength under it, which then came up as the top card later on.
Reversed.
Both reversed. Now, the lovers reversed signifies weakness and roadblocks and a destructive love for the act. And I'm definitely a person who,
Hands!
I like what I do. I will even go as far to say I love what I do, but to the detriment of growing the fuck up about it and doing like the business side of things. I just like sitting down and making sound go wee. And that came from a childish perspective to some degree. I like this thing. This thing makes me happy.
That's the artist part of you. I don't want to call it childish.
I can't taint the thing that makes me happy.
Yeah.
And then one other note I have here is prolonged adolescence involving childish fantasies long after the vessel has matured.
Ouch.
Ooh, I didn't like when I read that. I didn't like it. Yeah, I struggle with the adulting part of being a person in their adult years.
No, but that's valid too. It's just the other side of the coin. You want to keep the childishness. You want to keep the love of the craft. And unfortunately, we need to add on to that these skills of how to get that voice out there in a way that makes things come around for you.
And then what came up under that, and we put back in the deck, and then had Abby shuffle them around, and it still came up as the top signifier. So it really needed to make it known that it doubled down on weakness.
Oh, no.
It's just the note at the top of the page there was just, it signifies weakness. And I don't think this is speaking to the turning of a table, but I do have
Turning tables needs to be the name of this episode now,
actually. Turning tables. It speaks to a lot of how courage and an outward pursuit of passion can crumble away and decay when not given its due process. Doing things that let that one thing live. Courage gives way to inner torment and overwhelmed pessimism, which I have felt very pessimistic. There's a lot of reasons to be pessimistic about the music industry.
Creatives in every industry are working with that right now. Maybe they always have.
It's not just the music industry,
but
absolutely not.
Speaking of collective struggles, I feel like all professional creatives have to deal with just the BS of the way capitalism and industry works right now.
Passion has become the enemy.
Why is that?
Because I just want to do the thing I like doing. Why can't I just do that?
It's not an enemy, though. I mean, it's
I know.
It's the reason you're here.
There's been a level of self-resentment.
That's what I thought it was getting at with the punishing of yourself.
There's a level of self-resentment because I have had such an issue. Not even like being a creative, but doing the other parts of being creative. The admin of being a creative.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that.
It's not necessarily the passion itself has become the enemy. It's the fact that I found the thing I want to do.
Now I have to do everything else.
But now I have to do everything else but that as well. Putting personal weight means that I have to put so much more work into the admin of everything. And I've resented that change for a second. Even though it's what I want realistically, I've resented that change. Speaking to the devil, reversed, in doing that making that change might be the hardest thing I ever fucking do. But it's what needs to be done to grow.
And while there can be like a lot of angst around this topic for everyone, in my own life, what I'm trying to do is make every move that you have to make to promote yourself and get your work out there your next creative problem to solve. And it might not be the creative problems that you want to solve, but as creatives, we have this excess energy to think of things in a different way. So like, how can I make my content fun for me? And I do that through creativity so that I don't get to this place where I'm just resenting doing the work that I have to do. So if we're talking about, let's use glass blowing. They're starting out. They're like, okay, I found the glass studio that I want to make glass at. Now what do I do?
So you've already taken that first step.
Yeah.
You found the means of which to start where you're at.
So the glass studio that they want to work at is the Ace of Wands.
Ace of Wands.
Okay, got you.
But now it's the matter of you're going to then go into that studio, and sometimes you're going to come out having nothing to show for it.
Right, because you're a beginner
you have to be okay with that.
You're learning.
You have to be okay with the fact that you will go in, You might make something good, and then you might make something that that might make you want to fucking quit.
Yeah.
Right.
Because everyone else is just so much better than you and blah, 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 blah. All those thoughts that we
Which
have.
is another logical fallacy where it's just like everyone else learned the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's also something that the Eight of Swords, in a little bit of in a backward sense, in being aware that you're not the only one in this struggle, you're also acknowledging everyone else's unique struggles. So if you're a glass blower in
Tennessee?
Tulsa? Wow.
Oh, I don't know. Tulsa.
Where's the glass blowing? Where's the glass blowing?
So many. I feel like there is in Tennessee. That's why I said it, but I don't know actually.
Where is the glass blowing capital of the world? Doing a little bit of research for a moment. Toledo!
Oh, really?
You're in Ohio. You saw a bottle. It was really cool.
Like, I want to make that.
Got a little chill, just like, ooh, I want to make a nice bottle that makes me go, ooh. Find a studio that can allow you to do that. Buy a book on glass blowing.
Find work at a studio that will.
Honestly, yeah, just work at a studio.
That's what I did with silkscreen. I was really interested in how to do a silkscreen. Obviously, you need a lot of material and a whole ass like pressure washing station just to start doing that. Or I thought you did. You can actually do it from home. It's kind of cool.
And it's easier said than done to just say get a job somewhere, especially if you already have a job. But find a place where your practice can be expressed to some extent. But know that it takes the learning portion. These cards have definitely called me out for thinking that I kind of knew shit at one point and then continuously have more to learn and being much better at accepting that fact now. Notice the fact that you are a beginner.
Yeah.
Again, you can't really free yourself unless you're aware that you're not free. You have to understand that you are coming from a modest perspective.
In Toledo, Ohio.
In Toledo, Ohio. So I hope that if you are a glass blower, if you are a pot maker, a music producer, a musician, a painter, a muralist, a writer, that you find...
Fashion, candles, all of the above.
Fashion candles, putting dresses on candles. If you take one thing from this episode, it's to start exploring what means are currently available to you, starting where you are. Find a book about your topic. Read it. Find a studio that allows you to maybe take a class. Or if you think you already kind of know what you're doing, find a way to prove yourself wrong. Find a way to grow. Find a way to figure out that there's so much more for you to learn. Because oftentimes, that's might be what's holding you back, is just not accepting that there's more growth to be had.
I'm going to take your advice on that one, actually. I'm going to start looking around in my life for things that I can bring into my practice. So where are people listening to this right now? On any podcasting?
People are listening everywhere, all around the world. Is this part of the podcast? Or is this recording?
And now for the business end of this podcast.
Now for the part that I didn't want to do. No, I actually do want to do, because I am actually excited about the business portions of this podcast.
We want to introduce to you where you can find us on social media. We are at Raser and Rhodes on Instagram. That is this human's last name.
That's me.
And my last name.
That's her.
We'll post some fun behind-the-scenes content, which you can also catch on our Patreon.
We're still in this moment figuring out like all the perks that are going to be on there, because we'd like to offer...
Definitely some tarot-related perks.
Yeah, my partner has convinced me to do creative consultations around the tarot. I like reading for this podcast, and tarot is such a good way of self-reflection. Even if you don't fully acknowledge the higher energies side of it.
It's just another mode to learn about ourselves, which is a lot of what that woo-woo witchy stuff is about. So if you like what you're hearing here and you want more creative motivation and a community, please head over to our Patreon. That link will also be in the description below.
And I hope between now and when you listen to the next episode, start your journey, find your Ace of Wands, accept that there are storms ahead, and do something with it. Maybe fail once. And then go to the next episode. But I hope that you take the time to explore a little bit.
I'm so excited for y'all. I'm excited for me. I'm excited for you.
I'm excited.
It's happening. New time period. Gen Z. We're bringing in a wave of...
Skibbity.
Well,
I made a skibbity joke last podcast. Why am I doing that?
It's what your heart is.
What's skibbity mean?
Are you expressing? Meditate on it.